Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special midweek episode of Matrix Live, coming to you to announce a very special partnership between Matrix and Purism. And I'm joined here today with the CEO of Purism, Todd Weaver. Todd, thank you for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me on. My name is Todd Weaver. I'm the founder and CEO of Purism. And obviously, I'm really excited to be on the call with you to discuss a little bit more about the Matrix and Purism partnership, which really all comes down to what we're launching, which is the Purism Librem 5 phone, which is really a 5-inch phone that's going to be not running Android nor iOS. It's going to be running a GNU Linux stack, which is, of course, our own Pure OS, and we're going to be incorporating Matrix as with a Matrix first approach to a phone device.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely crazy on our side in a good way. And we're talking about an entirely floss hardware phone here, which has Matrix as the native dialer and the native messaging app. So you're going to launch the phone here and be dumped straight into a Matrix first environment. Obviously, there's going to be GSM as well, and we're looking at putting VoIP out and VoIP in into Matrix to bridge it through, so you can do IP-based calling on the real phone network as well. But primarily, we're talking end-to-end encrypted native Matrix client that will be running on top of PRS, on top of Linux. It's a Debian derivative. And
Exactly.
the app here is going to obviously be optimized for a 5-inch touchscreen phone, but the code base is going to be available as the native client that people have been hopefully waiting for ages, across all the different platforms. And on the Matrix side, we're going to be borrowing stuff. We're not sure whether we're going to be using Qt or GTK, but we're going to be looking at libq Matrix client, Matrix glib SDK, or Rumor GTK, all of the other native stuff out there to try to pull it together to provide an excellent native dialer messaging app for the Librem 5. So, Todd, tell us about Purism. How are you in the business of making a floss open source phone?
Yeah, so it really goes to the heart of our philosophy, which is has a series of goals that we've been looking to accomplish. So Purism is a manufacturer. We manufacture laptops currently, a 15-inch laptop, a 13-inch laptop. We also have a 12-inch two-in-one, so it's a convertible tablet, which is really the goal for us was to sort of advance towards the phone. Part of that was to be able to push the free software agenda into the supply chain, start to build some momentum around things that we knew we could fabricate, in 2014, 2015, and then be able to actually have inventory starting in this year. And so being able to get all those relationships together allows us to actually get to the point of being able to fabricate a phone. So we're now at the point of launching a pre-order campaign for the Librem 5 phone that, of course, is going to run Pure OS, as you mentioned, has an overall Debian as the upstream, and then leveraging GNOME or possibly KDE as the middleware component, depending on, we're going to be pushing a lot with the GTK, but we're also going to be working with KDE so we can advance both of those causes. And the goal, of course, is nowadays it's a lot less expensive to fabricate in quantity than it was 5 years ago. So for us to be able to do that today is actually something that we would be able to do with just a few $1,000,000 as opposed to $50 million. So it's and then one goal that really relates to the Matrix group, which is I feel like it's almost uncanny, the resemblance to what I was wanting as a goal as far back as 3 years ago when we started Purism, was really looking at an encrypted, decentralized, IP first based communication suite. And that's exactly what Matrix brings to the table. And being able to marry Purism's hardware, manufacturing, software with the Matrix communication suite, and then focusing on that being IP first phone as opposed to all of the other options, is yet another differentiator for us. And having those differentiators makes it where we can expand the audience size beyond just philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that really excites me about it, honestly. That there have been a bunch of FOSS and FLOSS phones out there over the years which have had greater or lesser success. And an awful lot of them have basically been trying to do Me Too of iOS or Android, or have just ended up being a reference hardware platform which runs Linux, and you get X up on it and you start messing around with GNOME or whatever. But
Mhm.
at no point have they actually started to go beyond what Android and iOS provide today. And even Apple and Android haven't got to the point where they've made iMessage or
Yeah.
the Google sort of ecosystem as the default
Mhm.
dialer. Whereas we're
Mhm.
jumping way ahead here by having a
Right.
completely FLOSS phone, which is really native to the Matrix ecosystem. And obviously, you can bridge from that through to all of the other things which Matrix connects to.
Yes.
So, I mean, honestly, I historically have been absolutely wedded to the Apple product suite, for better or worse. But I can absolutely see myself going and getting a proper FLOSS phone, which actually has a differentiator of having excellent Matrix client built in as a first class citizen. Super
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's when we first met. Obviously, it was trying to see like, hey, what you guys are doing is awesome, and I love Matrix. We've tested out literally everything, and and have sort of been everything's been kind of lackluster. Where it's basically creating yet another walled garden or yet another ID. Where Matrix, of course, is the perfect partnership.
And you've been
And
using
so being
Riot internally at Purism for a while now. You said.
Yeah, actually, we tested it like about a year or so ago, and we're kind of like, hey, let's add that to the list and start evaluating that. And then boy, it might have been 8 months ago now, for sure 6 months ago. Then we started using that as our communication tool, and have been pleasantly, I'm just extremely happy actually with the results. And then actually, it's even spread beyond just our team to the team members' families and their devices. And so we've really, proven that it is the ideal path. The Our beliefs align perfectly. The ability to have it where you can have a no carrier phone, right? A phone that doesn't actually have connection to a carrier, but you can still opt in if you want to have data from them, or if you want to have a phone number. Of course, that's available. But the future, right? Being able to pave the way where we can have matrix first based communication, allowing somebody to say, you know what, I just want Wi-Fi only, and I'm perfectly fine because I can still have a phone number that a landline can call me, but I don't need to be married to a arguably over expensive carrier.
So, I mean, it particularly resonates on our side because one of the first things, in fact, literally the beginning of Matrix happened in a way sort of off-site thing that we had for the core team at the time, and we ended up in Dublin, of all places, in Ireland, and sat around and thought, hey, what can we do to actually fix the problem of fragmentation out there? What if there was an equivalent to the phone network, but on an open federation on the internet?
Yep.
And obviously, this is a huge step in the direction to actually providing Matrix as an alternative to the phone network by having a Matrix native device out there on it.
Yeah.
So I had a
So,
question. Oh, sorry, go for it.
so I was just going to say that gets to one of the hearts is actually convenience. And so rather than it being, let's say, a do-it-yourself or buy hardware and install software, for me and Purism, we know that the convenience is actually a really important message. So having a bundle where you can just buy hardware, it comes with all the software that we all believe in anyway, and it respects your privacy, is more secure, and it actually offers a future that is respectful of digital rights. Is then we can actually expand that beyond our core audience, right? And parents who want their kids to be able to use a device, and they say, you know what, it's awesome, it just works, it comes as a bundle, they hand it to them and they start using Matrix first. It's going to actually change the future as opposed to having to continually educate.
So tell me a bit about the hardware. And also who's building this. I mean, I guess the Matrix folks are particularly interested in sort of what the track record is, and is this a real deal? Is there any evil proprietary microcode which is going to creep into here, or is it properly FLOSS?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So obviously, Purism, we're the manufacturer. We leverage fabrication, of course, out of mainland China for the motherboard, but we're designing the motherboard, sourcing the case, modifying the case. So we pay for all of that tooling. So it's going to be a Purism proper branded phone. We, of course, have partnered with a couple of different suppliers who supply phones for HTC, the largest phone supplier, phone manufacturer, specifically battery manufacturer in mainland China. BYD is also in on the fabrication process. We're using the IMX6 CPU, possibly be using the IMX8 CPU, depending on when that comes out. We're going to be using the free software driver, the Vivante, which is the Etnaviv GPU driver, which is free software. So we solve the CPU, GPU, which means no microcode, no proprietary bits on the CPU or GPU, which is great. We have a separate baseband, which also allows us to, by separating the baseband from the CPU, then clearly we can actually have proper isolation for a really strong security story. And then we're going to be running Pure OS, which has no binary blobs in the kernel level. The only area that we're still evaluating is Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, where if we go with USB, which is a bigger power drain, we can have completely freed stack. We're trying to evaluate some of the more integrated solutions, especially for that small profile. So that's something that we're evaluating, and we'll make that final determination, and then that will basically pin down the fabrication story, so for us to take to the supply chain.
Awesome. And on the software side, obviously you're talking about basically building a new phone OS. It sounds as if you're leveraging Debian and the existing Pure OS work, but who's working on that?
So the part of this campaign, actually the biggest part of this campaign, is the software development. So hardware is that simple. We have that no problem. Actually, it's gonna take us around 3 to maybe 6 months to have the hardware in hand. But we're actually putting a year on the campaign to deliver the phone because there's still a lot of software that needs to be written. But we're being hyper focused about it. So Pure OS, which is a direct Debian derivative, and we patch everything upstream first to Debian for any changes. But that allows us a playground to be able to advance the 5-inch touchscreen interface across the GNU Linux stack. And so the other thing that by being hyper focused is that we're really talking about encrypted communication. So obviously this partnership is critical. Then also having a browser. So being able to make a phone call, right? Being able to make video call, voice call, have a potential phone number that you can call, be able to make emergency services, and have a web browser. At that point, we can actually ship that. Like that's a product that people would use. Then we can look to start leveraging more about the community, because this is clearly going to be a GNU Linux distribution, and we'll be able to run any GNU Linux distribution because of that. So we'll start to see more and more apps being able to be ported to a 5-inch screen than we have in the past, because there's an actual platform to do so on.
Cool. And have you got people from the Debian community involved in this? I mean, or is this a sort of side project distro, or is it, what's the relationship like there?
So we actually, all of our developers are actually Debian developers, proper DDs at Debian. We actually even have the Debian project leader as one of our developers. And so we're very much devoted to the cause of Debian and advancing that. And so by having Pure OS, really, it is a fork of Debian, meaning we maintain all of the packages, but the differences that we have are advancing the overall goals of Debian as well. We just needed to have a playground to be able to advance those causes in a faster fashion, and then have Debian properly maintain those over time. So, and then that goes obviously to all of the Debian derivatives, right? And then anybody who was running any type of GNU Linux stack would be able to take the kernel modules or whatever and be able to have their distribution run on the Librem 5 as well.
Awesome. So I guess probably final question then from our side is for the Matrix community listening, where can they put their money if they think that this is a good idea to have a native Matrix first floss phone? I mean, it sounds like a utopia. Where's the campaign?
Yeah, the campaign will be actually on our website, which we'll link to from Matrix as well. So you'll be able to find it from any number of sources. But our website is Purism, Puri.sm. And then you'll be able to find the Librem 5 campaign directly from that homepage. Or, of course, you can go to Matrix or the rooms that you're already in.
Indeed. Well, honestly, I think this is one of the most exciting things we've had to announce in a while. It's also going to help us a bit, hopefully, on the funding side of things, because if people
Absolutely.
go
That's
and
right.
put money in the pot to fund the development of the native client for Matrix, for
Yeah,
Purism, it's available to everybody, hopefully on every operating system, even
that's correct.
non-Linuxes, and it will certainly help us go and keep the core team together. So, I mean, obviously, this is going out to our Patreon supporters as well as everyone else in the Matrix community. But if you're interested in open hardware or looking for a new phone that you actually control, then I think this is the most promising option that I've seen yet. So thank you so much,
Excellent.
Todd, for joining us on this slightly unusual one. Obviously, we're doing this call here on Riot, and I'm in London. You're off on the West Coast at the moment.
Yes, correct. I'm actually in Ashland, Oregon, of all places, which is a little smoky, but it's the Riot client works fantastic. Matrix is obviously ideal, and I'm really excited about the partnership.
Well, I think this is the first video interview or chat that we've actually done, recorded on Riot. Hopefully it's going to have come out okay. And thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back with the normal Matrix live on Friday to give a wrap up of what else has been happening in the week. Okay, thanks Todd, good to speak to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Matthew. All right, see you, man.
Bye.